stay in the meeting having declared an interest?
No.
Then I believe, as it's personal, prejudicial and financial, you have to leave the meeting.
What, at that junction?
Yeah.
That junction?
Yeah, it is very much, I don't see how you can deny it being any of those categories, personal, prejudicial or financial. You have to stand down.
Only at that time, only at the...
Consider something. You want to agree not to do something.
Fine, and if we don't agree,
That's
it
predetermination.
will not happen.
As long as I'm content that there's no predetermination here.
Councillor Savagar, at the council meeting on the 1st of October, on which the appeals based their claim, they based their claim that it was made, she made allegations against me, making that I'd conducted a false or made a unlawful act or supervised an unlawful act, and they are based on their claim of defamation that it was made in public, and you actually made this statement and I responded to that statement. Therefore you actually made us have an interest in this, and therefore you should declare it. So,
I'm sorry.
Right. No, Richard.
It's not right.
You complained to, you put in a complaint against me to AVDC, saying that I had brought the council into disrepute. And I have responded to that by sending my reply to AVDC, which is, I don't know if you've seen that yet. I've sent that in. At no point did I come to council and talk about that, because it was a personal complaint from you. It was in your name only, it came from your own address. It was nothing to do with the council. And any member of the public is entitled to report anybody under a code of conduct. That's absolutely acceptable. When you sent your complaint to me, I was, because I tend to do my research with whatever I say, and the reasons why I brought those two motions in the meeting was because I was concerned about how public money had been spent. And that's why I asked to see all the minutes, because I was a new councillor and I didn't understand why I was having to countersign or agree to huge sums of money. And I had no idea what it was all about. That's why I asked for the minutes. And that's why I asked to see all the documents which the previous clerk supplied to me.
You actually...
And, excuse me, and you in your complaint you made statements which I was not aware of. I didn't realise that they, and I'm worried in case they were true. I actually wrote to the appeals, and I have a copy of my email in early November with the two statements that you'd made about them, and I was concerned whether or not they were true. Because if they were true, then I had made a grievous mistake in my motion, and I don't want to be ever accused of anything like that. I wrote to them and I said, and you can see this email, I'm most concerned if these elements of this statement are true, and I would like your reassurance that this is not the case. And at that point, they have said to me that these are potentially libelous. So your complaint against me, I'm afraid you may have unfortunately made libelous statements, and that's what's happened. Your complaint about me is nothing to do with this. You have said other things.
And you said there are two issues here. At that meeting on the 1st of October, you made a statement that I had supervised an illegal act, and in the appeals definition, in the appeals statement that they have made against me, in the Lightfoot statement, they quote that. In fact, they say that they are based it on the grounds that it was made.
You have a prejudicial interest, and you are engaging now in a discussion which exercises that prejudice.
Well, we're only making sure that Councillor Savagar...
That is not for you to determine. That is for Councillor Watson to determine when he takes over the chair.
may I have advice from the clerk, or do I have to leave the meeting, or
You
can I
will have to leave.
what, completely?
Because it's personal prejudicial, which means there's finance involved, you will have to leave. The personal nature, I'm not sure about Mrs. Abigail, whether she can stay but not have a vote. I'm not absolutely sure on that. It's the personal prejudicial that's involved in.
I'm quite happy to stand down and let Councillor
Okay.
Watson take the chair.
Now, I know that some people are concerned about council meetings, and everybody thinks they've got a right to be at all council meetings to hear everything goes on. This is the Bible. It's called Local Council Administration, and it's got all of the Acts of Parliament. I've got a couple of things I'd like to raise an issue about. First of all, regarding your standing orders, which is what I need to say. The standing orders. The clerk rang me because she was very concerned that there were allegedly only 2.5 days notice given to the agenda. And then I'm advised that in your standing orders you say that should the need arise for it to be called for urgently, in that you can. Is that correct?
I think it's from...
It is in the standing, it does say that in the standing orders.
You cannot have your standing orders to go against the law. You can't. No, it's 3 days. Now, the 3 days I've argued for years. In Charles Arnold Baker, it says 3 clear days. Doesn't say anything about Sundays, holidays. It says 3 clear days. Your agenda was posted on Friday, which means that this meeting is perfectly legal. Some people may choose to challenge it. It's never ever been challenged, and it's accepted in parish council matters that it's best practice. It's really nice to have 5 clear days. That comes from ABDC's rulings, which is different to yours. So that I just wanted to clarify for you that the 3 days is justified. But your standing orders can't say you'll do it in less.
Can I just leave that point and go and check on Local Councils Explained, because that's where I got it from, which is the book that now...
This one here.
Yes.
It does say it in there, but
It does say it in there, that's why
they
I
go
lifted
the best
everything from.
practice.
It's tricky though when you're trying
This is
to...
the
You
Bible.
don't...
This is the Bible.
I'm afraid I won't with the Bible.
And it's why I always say to people when they quote standing orders that way, if you choose not to abide by one of your standing orders, all you have to do is pass a motion to let your standing orders by, and you can override it. You cannot override the law. You cannot, because your meeting will be called into question. Any decisions you make may be turned around, and you may end up with judicial reviews and everything else.
Would it be useful then, maybe the clerk and you need to get together and just go through and make sure that what they've written in that book is same as that book? Because
I'm not doing Mira's work.
I've
and she's
lifted
left now,
everything
so,
from there. I don't make up anything.
A lot of this is best practice, but I'm still waiting for someone to take a parish council to court because they've included Sunday. I did Buckland Parish Council for many years. They had their agendas on a Thursday and the meetings on a Monday for years. And it just worked. So if people want to get shirty about it, they can. But the law is 3 clear days. And it's here under Schedule 12 of the 1972 Local Government Act. So that's the first thing. And the standing orders, that's my only concern, that you may have things in there that you can improve on the law. You can say, for example, that you will issue your agendas 5 clear days. You could make it better, but you cannot make it less.
To be continued, I think.
More courses.
Yes. The salient point is that the meeting is legal, so that we can progress.
The next concern I have is that residents seem to feel they can just sit in on meetings. I've picked this one out in this book because it's easier to follow.
Can we have the law and rather than the other interpretation?
That's in here. And I've got to find it. Does she quote me in here? Okay, scheduled for everything will be the same as she said, because I know this. For example, if you're going to consider...
You just said that it wasn't quite true with Mrs Savigal
that
and
was
she's
that
put it in
particular
there.
point. That was that particular point. Everything that's... The reasons for a closed meeting are the same. If you want me to find them in here, I can quote them to you. I haven't put a sticker in that one, unfortunately. That one was- But if you do stay, I can tell you now that anything that's decided may be called into question, but it's, I can only tell you what I know.
I think the overriding moral issue here is not against your law, on the question of whether it's a closed meeting or not, is this involves substantial sums of public money before and potentially in the future. And to have it all blanked off from us who pay the bills, I think is immoral.
As does contractual agreements. But in contractual agreements, the public and the press are excluded.
I can understand
The nature of
I
the
can understand
business. But that's
confidential
sometimes a
agreement.
lot of money too. It's the actual...
But that's on the legal side.
It's
This is
a
in
decision.
dispute. This is all about a thing that should never really happen in the first place. That's personal view. This is a different thing. If it's a contract to get your roads done or your lamps done or to rebuild the hub, but that's a legitimate way of doing council business, and there's commercial confidentiality. One fully understands that. This is another matter. Well, and I've got to keep my mouth shut on, if I don't, otherwise I should be in the defamation bit. But this is where things have gone badly, badly wrong. And really, it's time it was corrected and is not allowed to happen again.
You also have to have consideration with the Data Protection Act, I'm afraid.
Oh, the Data Protection Act. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate that. I'm sorry. I wasn't going at you.
Cannot override other legislation.
No,
I'm sorry.
Data protection has done more harm
I
than
know
good in this country.
it's a nuisance, but that's where you cannot discuss people's personal situations in an open meeting.
They do in court when you're up against anyone.
Well, we could go on past
Yes, we
the
could.
joint
I'm sorry.
all night. But,
I withdraw that.
that's my schedule for... The 1960 Act. Right. This is the Public Bodies Efficiency Meetings Act of 1960.
Excuse me, ma'am. Haven't we agreed that Councillor Maskell should have withdrawn from the meeting now? Isn't that already agreed,
As
whatever
far as I
happens
know,
now?
I'm just giving you information. on
I know,
this.
but haven't we already agreed he should have withdrawn?
Yes, he will be leaving.
Will be? Why not has gone?
I'm not in court. Why are you treating me like...
No, forgive me, but
You're a hostile examiner.
No, well, I don't mean to be hostile to you, but I'm
Well-
certainly hostile to some of the proceedings here. Why is Maskell, please, still here?
He's got the name, actually.
All right, Councillor Richard Maskell, why is he still here?
Yes, I will, as it seems to have caused
Yeah,
disturbance.
that won't be a problem. I'm still going to find this other information. I need to know now
You can reach out. Sorry to be picky, but thank you for that.
Right, a body may, by resolution, exclude the public from a meeting, whether during the whole or part of the proceedings, whenever publicity would be prejudicial to the public interest by reason of the confidential nature of the business to be transacted, or for other special reasons stated in the resolution, and arising from the nature of that business or of the proceedings. And where such a resolution is passed, this Act shall not require the meeting to be open to the public during proceedings to which the resolution applies. A body may, under subsection 2 above, treat the need to receive or consider recommendations or advice from sources other than members, committees or subcommittees of the body as a special reason why publicity would be prejudicial to the public interest without regard to the subject or purport of the recommendations or advice. But the making by this subsection of express provision for that case shall not be taken to restrict the generality of subsection 2 above in relation to other cases, including in particular cases where the report of committee or subcommittee of the body is of a confidential nature. It goes on. I'm quite happy to copy this and send it to anyone if they really want it.
I think, I mean, my concern here is you know, it relies heavily on the word confidentiality, and I'm just not convinced there is anything of a confidential nature here. If Councillor Maskell had defended the action through his own solicitors, then it would be confidential. But sorry, Christine, come finish. He's brought it into the public.
Councillor, I'll be careful because you are treading, I think, a very fine line. Because you are discussing an individual who is not here.
Look, that's the nature of the beast, I'm afraid. He has declared an interest. What I'm saying, Martin, Mr. Chairman, is that Councillor Maskell has brought it into the public domain by engaging with parish council agents, to wit, Cable.
Mr. Chairman, we're going to have a meeting before we've cleared up the resolution.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to work out, Paul, the nature of the confidentiality, that's all.
Yeah, but you're using enough information that we may as well have a public meeting, and that's the point that we're trying to establish. So we need to be careful.
The agenda has been
what we
published with an
discuss.
exclusion clause because of the nature to be discussed.
Can I?
The agenda's been published with a resolution that has to be passed.
This is personal vendetta.
From who?
From
It is.
that's just a question, nothing to do with anything.
What's
I'm not
a
sure.
personal vendetta?
I'm not sure what.
Christian, I found that slightly offensive, if that's correct.
No, I'm not
I'm
sure.
simply
I'm
discussing
not
it.
sure. I'm not
I
sure.
object
I'm not
to you, lady. I'm sorry. I've come to 2 meetings that you chaired earlier on this
I
year.
don't chair meetings.
No, but you didn't chair. You were here as the clerk, and you gave your opinions during the meeting. You set the tone for the meeting. If anybody said anything that you didn't like, you made the point that it was contentious at that particular time. You've now done this for the 3rd time. At the 3rd time you've been here, and it's wrong.
I'm just not
That is
sure.
not a responsible
You
thing
can-
to say, and also from fellow councillors
I'm very
says
sorry
that
about
personal
being
vendetta.
That's not what
She
I meant.
can
I
give-
Is the
asked
responsible
the question
officer to the
because
council.
She
I
can
don't
give the
understand where
rules,
you're-
but
where
not
you're coming
opinions.
from.
She's
Well,
allowed
that's
to
what
Why
give
you want it in
opinions.
public?
That was
Where
an
you put
opinion.
That was an opinion. That was wrong. She shouldn't do it.
Christine, it's not our money, it's the public's money that is potentially going to...
But you are the parish council, and that's what you're there for.
But have they been the parish council? From where I'm sitting, and this has been going on a few years, and you can hang me, you can do what you like to me, it seems to have been things that have gone on between myself and the parish council, as I assumed it was between myself and the parish council, never was. It stopped with one man. And I was led to believe that you all voted on certain things, and it wasn't true. So I'm afraid I don't believe they have been a parish council. I'm sorry to say that, but I think there's been one man, and I am speaking out of turn, you can do what you like. There's been lots of things from my personal. Richard actually asked, why did you come to the meetings? And I just wanted to see what actually goes on.
It's always good to have people come to meetings. I always recommend people to come to meetings. But
That's
what they
what I
do.
said.
there are some things that the parish council needs to keep in confidence. Now, I can
Of course
only
they do.
give you advice. And
But they
choose
should
not
Mr.
be
Chairman, if I may,
loyal to each other.
the parish council has in the past been guilty of lapsing into closed sessions far too readily. For instance, John Watson seeking money to pay for the chairs for the Anthony Hall, done in a closed session. Not good. And that was a few years back, but that's...
Steady, Chair.
No, that's typical, isn't
I
it?
think
No, Don never agreed with me, I'm
it's a
afraid.
fact, it's a
Don never agreed with me that he should never have allowed that in a closed
Yeah.
session.
Yeah, but even so, steady.
But all I'm trying to do is to determine that... I'm happy if we move to the motion, but I need to understand the nature of the confidentiality here.
The motion on the,
Sorry.
the motion on the agenda, and I'll read it again for everybody's understanding and clarity. It has been voted on previously while the current chairman was in the chair. We will take a vote again, if everybody's in agreement.
Yes.
Due to the confidential nature of the business to be transacted, a resolution may be passed in accordance with Standing Order 11A11 to exclude the press and public from the meeting under the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960 for the following item. Item 14.220, personal insurance claim. I would like a proposer for that motion. I would like a seconder, and then we'll have a vote, please. Can I have a proposer? So the motion is disregarded.
Why?
To go into closed session.
Why don't you want to go into closed session?
No one wants to.
The thing is, we can't have the public speaking all the time. We're trying to discuss something.
We're cracking on?
So you've got to start.
Chairman should be moving it on shortly.
I think it's last from the clerk.
I have a concern that if you say anything at all in here that's against the data protection act, you can come under as a parish council.
Surely what we're discussing tonight is facts. That's all we need to discuss.
Well, you're discussing this one item.
Yeah, that's it, and it's facts relating to that item. As long as we don't deviate off that, there's no issue, is there? There is facts related to that. It's as simple as that. We shouldn't be engaging too much in opinions on the general chat. That only comes when we vote. What we're talking about is the facts of this issue.
We can't have the general public chipping in on this and giving their
Of course, it's down to the chairman to stop. You know, there'll be time for them to speak if the chairman allows it. Now, this is down for us to speak about. As often meetings and agendas, surely it's down to the chairman now to run this meeting so that we discuss this.
I have severe concerns.
We should put it down the
I think because of the nature, it clearly says in section 160 that personal data and the information about individuals should not be discussed. And you don't discuss the clerk's...
It also said matters, at the beginning, matters prejudicial to the public interest. This is absolutely prejudicial to public interest. We ought to know about it.
Then what you need to do is go to your MP and ask him to change the law regarding parish council meetings.
Mr Jensen,
I'm
let's
only
not get into an argument here.
I'm only going by the legal way a parish council meeting is run. Now, you might not like that, but that's what the book says. And that there are rules and regulations.
I'm beginning to agree with our colleague on
Sorry,
that.
if I may.
I shan't be coming to another meeting.
Christine, sorry, if I may. Mr Chairman, there was no proposal for the motion. I can only suggest that we get on with 14220, recognising that we are having to tread carefully.
The other thing, what's the point of the vote?
I just couldn't, actually, let's be honest. Well, I really, that's what I recommend, but I'm going because I feel there's...
If she's leaving, he wants to cancel the meeting.
You can't do that.
Not without a clerk.
No, you're manipulating that.
That's not fair.
No, you want manipulation.
It's not fair.
Manipulation.
You know
You're
that.
very hostile anyway.
No, we want to hear what's going on. But what we've been doing, we've been railroaded down a view because the new chairman doesn't like it.
What was the point of the vote if there was no chance of the meeting going ahead anyway?
Well, I'm not saying anything because I just get shot down in
Yeah.
Sorry, I was only asking the question.
For quoting the law. I didn't make the law relating to parish council meetings, and the fact is that this parish council is in the danger of discussing personal matters in an open meeting. Now, we might not like that, but that's the law.
I think these people are intelligent enough to understand that and want to bring you around it.
But how was this meeting? Was this publicised, this meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I thought it being publicised as a closed meeting.
Members,
I will be
members,
advertised on
That's a motion because it's a closed session, you can't just say it's
Totally
closed.
closed.
They've all been parish councillors for years, haven't they?
I'll read the item for discussion. There will not be a debate on that motion. There will be a vote on that motion. There's been a proposal put forward. And if that's not acceptable, then without a qualified clerk, I will abandon this meeting.
Before you do that, Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question of understanding? Has Councillor Maskell been excluded because there's a financial issue attached to his position being here? Is it
Yeah.
financial?
If it's personal and prejudicial, prejudicial indicates there's a financial matter involved. And under those circumstances, there is a need to leave. And that would apply for any motion at all.
Can you explain why it's personal? I don't understand.
So that's fine. So it's financial. So
It's personal because it relates to himself.
similarly,
It would be
then,
personal if it was a planning application and it belonged to one of the councillors.
okay, as understanding then, that's
Again.
because of some allegations between Councillor Maskell and Professor and Mrs. Pitt. Is that correct?
Well, yes, I don't
Yes.
think that's...
Or actions resulting
So-
from. Actions resulting from.
Do you think we can have a council debate?
Sure.
Because I'm asking questions as a councillor because I'd like to
I
understand
just
where we
thought
are.
I'd help your question.
No, please don't for the moment, because
Right.
I'm a simple bloke and I need to think. So, Councillor Maskell has been excluded because there's financial implications attached to his position here, because of something that may or may not have happened with Professor and Mrs. Peel. Am I correct so far?
Yes.
Okay, so similarly, is there financial implications for Professor and Mrs. Peel?
Yes.
There is that correct?
Yes.
Because they're at loss of earnings or something else,
Yes.
etc., etc. Okay, in that case then, is it fair to say, under declaration of interest, that Councillor Savagar should look at item E, where it says, where matters arises at a meeting which relates to financial interest of a friend, relative or close associate, the member shall disclose the nature of the interest. But so presumably, financial, yes, Councillor Maskell, yes, for appeals, then the answer must be yes for Councillor Savagar to declare an interest.
I think that we need to have this vote first.
Well, declaration of interest is first, isn't it? We've established that because Councillor Maskell is now no longer sat chairing the meeting. So I'd just like to understand whether declaration of interest 5E, having established there is a financial interest to Professor and Mrs. Peel, means that Councillor Savagar needs to declare an interest. Chair.
Under what?
I don't understand under what that. Sorry, I'm following this.
Are you, is it a question just for clarification? Are you a friend of the Peels?
I'm a friend of quite a few people actually.
No,
One of them.
yeah, but nobody else is involved in this. It's just, are you a friend of the Peels?
Yes, I am.
Are you a very good friend? I mean, have you
No.
dined there? Well,
No.
if it were just a
They've
passing
never been in my
friend,
house, does that count?
if you're just a passing friend, then
I'm
it's not.
probably as friendly with them as I am probably with Marion. I've probably been in your house more than I have in their house. Which is
All of us
true.
could then say, right then, what's Martin's relationship to Richard? Perhaps Martin needs to leave. Perhaps Paul needs to leave. But everyone's got a relationship to
The words say financial interest of a friend, and I think it's a belief that you've conversed with Professor and Mrs. Peel about this. You say you've written to them.
I've actually, would you like to see what I wrote to them?
No. That's broadly irrelevant at this moment in time. I'm asking the chair and the clerk to establish for me whether the declaration. I'm asking a question of interest or a question of understanding whether the declaration of interest that was meeting applies 5E, having established that somebody that you have a friendship with has a financial interest in this meeting. As we have just excluded our chairman, I'd like to understand if we should now ask Councillor Savagar if she has an interest in this meeting.
You
And
can't
she needs to
actually do
declare
that.
it. Well, I'm asking you
No,
to.
the way for
confirm
that to happen is for Councillor Mrs. Savagar to declare an interest. she chooses not to and somebody believes she should have, then it's a code of conduct issue.
Okay. I think, Paul, you're on dangerous grounds there, because, Martin, do you go to church with Richard on a Sunday?
It's not got nothing to do
Of course it's got something to do. You spend time...
Qualification of friends.
Where's your friends? What
I-
clubs are you members of? Well, you know, we've got to declare everything here. We're in a village, everyone's going to know people.
The clerk has just advised me to read the motion again. So I will do as I've been advised. And I will ask members to listen very carefully. Due to the confidential nature of the business to be transacted, a resolution may be passed in accordance with Standing Order 11A11 to exclude the press and public from the meeting under the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act of 1960 for the following item, specifically 14.220. Can I have a proposer for that motion?
We've already done this.
The clerk has advised me.
You're the chairman. We've done this
The
and voted on
clerk
it.
is the proper.
You haven't voted on it, nobody voted in.
There was no proposal, there was no motion to vote on, Christine.
You're going to keep going until we get that or something? Is that... We just sit here, keep saying it and saying it until someone does that.
So nobody wants to go into closed session?
Well, we've got some hostile people here.
No, it's a
I-
closed session, I mean...
I propose that we go into closed session.
It's already been...
Yes.
Do I have a seconder for the motion?
Could I have some clarification? How many times are we going around this, Mr. Chairman? We've gone
The
round
clerk
it.
is the proper officer of the
She's already
council,
said
and
she's
the clerk has
going.
advised me to read the motion again.
Perhaps the clerk could advise us how many times we're allowed to go around this loop.
But the fact of the matter is that if you do not agree to go into closed session and you discuss very personal matters, then the parish council is in danger of bringing itself into disrepute because it's likely to be...
It's not personal.
I don't-
We're just making our position clear on relation to something. We don't need to discuss the person who's on with it.
I think we ought to declare...
It's just- we're just deciding our position.
That is in the meeting. I think we ought to not go on with this meeting, actually.
I have to say, I am not comfortable
I know.
with bearing in mind the subject matter of the proposal, of the motion 14220, being discussed in open session because of an individual and personal matters.
I'll tell you what, I will volunteer to go, and I'm going to hope that some of the others will volunteer to go, to get you all off the hook. We'll all go and you can have your meeting, because I think the atmosphere has been set. You know the feelings. I'm going to leave. I propose that, if I may do, that we all leave as well and let them have a public session with no one here. Will that be okay? I'm going.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Lord.
Good night.
Thank you.
I really do think that you folk can follow.
I have to agree with that opposition.
It's a waste of time, and you all will assume it's time to go. It's a waste of space.
I would just like to say one thing in relation to this whole business, and that is that the words prejudicial to the public interest are contained in the wording, I think I'm right in saying, of the exclusion provision in the Act of 1960. It's difficult to see how the subject matter is prejudicial to the public interest, given that it's had a lot of publicity already. The case, the conduct case, the complaint against the chairman has been published on the AVDC website. It's there for all to read.
Yeah.
Oh yes, oh yes, yes. And so the facts are well known. There's nothing confidential in that sense. Where I think that there is a case to be considered is if other acts, such as the Data Protection Act, could affect your proceedings if you say something which is prohibited under the Data Protection Act. I'm not a lawyer and I can't offer advice on that, but that's the one area where I think perhaps you have to tread carefully. But I don't think that confidentiality and offending the public interest is an issue. But having said that, we will leave and hope that you can resolve the difficulties.
No, I think I'll go. I feel very uncomfortable. Unless you particularly want me to stay.
I prefer you did, Christine, to be honest, because we're in legal territory. We still have a member of the public in the building.
I just want to see if you're going round and round again with the votes, or whether you're going to do this as a...
Because if you're voluntarily leaving, then there's no...
Oh no, I'm quite happy to go, but seeing the debacle going round is just incredible, because you were almost trying to put it into closed meeting, and if they vote against closed meeting, then you're going to try voting it again to put it in closed meeting, and we've still got to go, and you're still going to have a closed meeting.
We didn't have a proposal for or against. It was a stalemate. Mr. Loxley voluntarily...
There was no proposal for. The issue about against doesn't count. There was just no resolution to be passed, period.
This is absolutely ridiculous. We've got to sort this problem out. I mean,
This is what we're here to do.
it's so stupid. I mean, I just can't believe this is all going on in this parish council.
Well, let's go round this another way. If I leave now, and you're going to conduct this as an open meeting, is this going to be fully documented and minutes taken so that it can be read?
Yeah, even confidential parts.
But we've not gone into that vote yet, have we?
No, but no, I'm just explaining to you the law about confidential meetings. The detail, obviously, is not published because it may be a personal matter. But any decisions that the council comes to should be published, and it's worded in such a way that it won't cause any problems for the council.
Okay. As long as that's all clear, I'll go and enjoy my pint.